That's sports.
Bill Cody in the morning, WSM. This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
It's the little things in life that give you joy and make you smile, like pulling in this morning just ahead of Annie Nye, our studio director. Hi, Billy Boy Cody, Jeff Roberts, Rock Solid Roberts in Master Control. That's Charles Mattos Jr., Kelly Sutton. He's big time at us hanging out with Carrie Underwood in Central Park, New York City over the next couple of days. I pulled in, and then Annie pulled in shortly after I did, and she was missing a passenger side rear hubcap, which I told her yesterday it was loose. Today, it is not there. And the first thing that made me smile was the time that you were losing hubcaps, Charlie, at an alarming rate.
Yes, eBay, Annie, eBay. That's the Amazon. You can find them too, but eBay is the place.
But here's the joy.
Yes.
Do we still have hubcap Annies in Nashville?
Oh, I remember. Yeah, there was Hubcap Heaven and Hubcap Annie. They were like the two main hubcap competitors back in the day. Yeah, you would get a discount, I would think, right?
I would like to think so.
Yeah.
And she walked around like just like you did, like I was punking her. And she goes, "Oh, and you told me."
There is nothing so sad as a tire once it's lost its little hubcap there, because it just looks, it can be a brand new tire and it just looks awful without it all of a sudden. It's like, oh, this is sad.
Hey, just after we went off the air yesterday, we found out Post Malone, with all these country connections he's made in the last couple of years, is coming to the Grand Ole Opry. Going to debut at the Opry in the middle of the month, August.
Yeah, don't even think about getting a ticket. Just listen to the radio that night.
Oh, already?
It is completely sold out. Well, you can buy a ticket via the resale on the AXS website, but it just depends if you want to pay your mortgage that night or not.
I was going to say, what would that set me back, Charlie?
Where do you want to sit?
I want to sit on stage.
Well, we don't have that option.
I want to be up here next to you and Mike Terry.
But I can put you in the front row.
Kelly Sutton.
I can put you in the front row for $13,000.
No way.
I kid you not. Now, if you don't mind sitting 8 rows back, I can put you there for about $2,000. And if you want to be up in the upper deck, I put you there for $600. I might just go see Taylor Swift. Save some money.
Well, we got that story, a lot more related to the Grand Ole Opry and ACM Honors. Some of the performers for ACM Honors. That's coming... What was the date on that? August 21st. I knew it was in August, a little later on in the month, and I'll have details coming up. It's time to celebrate that man, Vern Gosden and Vern Fest, and we're going to do it with Max T. Barnes, who had this idea a couple of years ago. Good morning and welcome to Coffee Country and Cody in the A-Cuff House.
The A-Cuff-Cody combination. I like it. Good morning, fellas. How you doing?
Have you ever been in here before?
Yes, sir. I think I was here a week or so ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
we were doing something else. Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you doing...
on air with Aaron.
We do all... Yeah, on air with Aaron.
Were you... did you come by here at all when...
Before, yes, when Roy Acuff lived here years ago, I was through here, but because I've been in Nashville since I was a kid, since I was 10 years old, knocking around doing this. So that's been like, 15 years ago?
Well, as we listen to Chiseled in Stone, did that not, your father wrote that, Max D. Was that out of a family tragedy, if I recall?
Yes, sir. Cody... My dad, Max D. Barnes, was a songwriter, and he and Vern Gosden had written the song, Chiseled in Stone, and my dad said, and he kind of said in his acceptance speech, that he kind of drew from the emotions of losing my brother, and, he turned it into an old man, but that's what the master songwriters do, and that's what he did.
Yeah. He was killed in an automobile accident, is that right?
Yes, sir, yes. Yeah.
Your dad was from Hard Scratch, Iowa?
Population 13. and when he left...
and he moved the family to Omaha, right?
Right. And then we bounced down to Nashville when I was 10 years old, 1973. Okay. And my dad was a carpenter. He could, he had that great Midwestern work ethic. He was a truck driver and a carpenter.
And a strikingly handsome dude.
He was. He had that really beautiful hair, And he came down here and he would build you a deck and write you some songs. So he got in with David Briggs and Norbert Putnam and Troy Seals and all those guys, Quad Studios, doing that sort of thing back in the Muscle Shoals days. And it was a Wild West thing. It was fantastic.
And did you always know that you would follow in his footsteps from an early age? Or did
not at all. No, I loved music, but I thought I was I thought maybe I'll be a welder. So I took welding in school, and I got out of high school and auditioned for a band, and on the road I went and left my welding career behind. Darn it.
And what band was that?
Just kind of a Holiday Inn band at that time. You know, where you go out and work 4 days, 5 days a week at a Holiday Inn back in the 80s. Yeah.
Well, give us an update on Vernfest and how people can be a part of it and where it takes place.
Yes, sir. Vernfest is August 3rd at the Texas Troubadour Theater, and we're going to have special guests. We got Nikki Nelson from Highway 101. She's going to come out and sing some duet, one of the duets in Bed You Made For Me, and we got lots of special guests. We got a great band, some of the people from studio band, some of the people from Vern's own band. It's going to be at Texas Troubadour Theater, 7:30, August 3rd.
Share the personal anecdotes you have about Vern Gosdin to give a point of reference to people who loved him or people who really are younger and would discover him later on and didn't know much about him.
Well, Vern had one of the most unique voices that I think I've ever heard. You know, he had this ability to rope you in with just that voice, you know. And then the combination between he and my dad's lyrics, or Hank Cochran, or, you know, Buddy Cannon, those guys, Dean Dillon, they could just kill you with those lyrics, you know. In his voice, it was a combination. So I remember coming home from high school, and he'd be sitting there, and I'd never met his wife before. I thought she was my sister, so I grabbed her Coke and started drinking it, and I looked, to my horror, I'm a 17-year-old kid, and I've just ruined everything.
So as I look at your successes as a songwriter, they include a guy who's in the Hall of Fame, John Anderson, Country Music Hall of Famer, John Schneider, Randy Travis, Diamond Rio, Vern, of course, and I'm going to close here in a little while with Colin Ray and different folks that I mean, the list is just extraordinary. George Jones, you had a George Jones cut.
Yes, sir.
Joe D. Messina, who's really had a comeback of late. Alabama. A lot of these folks you helped put in the Hall of Fame with the songs you wrote for them.
Yes, sir. The Lord's been good to us. The country music has kept beans and taters on the Barnes Boys tables for a long time. It's been good. You know, and we kind of travel around the world now with my band, and, you know, all over the world, Ireland, England, Australia. So we have a good time out there. And I just sing my hits and my dad's hits. But August 3rd at Troubadour Theater, 7:30, you can hear Vern Gosdin's hits, all the ones that my dad wrote and I wrote, Buddy Cannon, you know, all the greats. So it's going to be good country music.
Who dubbed Vern the voice?
Robert K. Orman.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
In a review or an article that he had written about him, referred to him as the voice. And some of us in radio picked up on that and started calling him that, and it just stuck.
Well, if Robert K. Orman liked your record, it must be a really good record, because if he didn't like it, he wasn't afraid to say so, right?
You're right,
that's the thing
that.
I loved about Robert. You know,
Naomi,
still do. You know,
I remember the CMA Awards one year backstage in the press room. He had said some really nice things about the judge, and Naomi said, if the truth shall set you free, Robert K. Orman is the freest man on the planet.
Yeah, I remember in a pitch meeting one time with a co-writer, the guy said he loved this first song, then he loved the second song, he loved the third song. I said, what about the fourth song? He goes, he didn't like it. He don't know what he's talking about.
So who would have been your first writing session?
Probably my dad.
Okay.
You know, when I went out on the road playing lead guitar with different people, Joe Sun and Bobby Bear and all them, you know. And I came home one weekend. I was still living at home. I was about 19 or 20. I was 19. And we sat down at the table, the first time ever, my dad and I, and he said, let's write a thing. So we wrote 2 or 3 songs, and one of them was Way Down Deep, that wound up being a top 5 hit for Vern. It started everything for me, and I thought, man, this is easy, Bill. I'm going to do this my whole life.
And that thing had such a gospel feel to it, an old Southern gospel feel.
It felt good. I can tell you, I remember sitting at the kitchen table with my dad singing that very song and where we were, because it felt like we did that all the time, just he and I, just sitting there jamming, you know.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Way down deep inside my soul.
Way down deep. It's early
where
for me to
once
sing
it was
for you.
cold and dark.
I can feel your love take hold way down deep in my heart.
Did the way you write change over the years just because of technology? Because back in the day, you wrote, you had to use a pen or a paper or a pencil, right? But now you can dictate into an iPhone. You can do it on a laptop. And there's like 1,000 ways to do it.
Well, in the 80s and 90s, I was one of the first guys to take on the computer for the word processing, and I loved that. This was before the laptops, you know. And I had another screen for the co-writer, and I could sit there. I loved how you can move lines without scribbling and erasing. So that changed, but all the new stuff, I'm not into that so much. I still like the old way.
Yeah, I do love those old exhibits at the Hall of Fame where you see the handwritten lyrics. I like to look at the stuff that's scratched out.
Me
it's
too.
Like, what did they want to say at first? And they changed that. You know?
Oh yeah, so. I've got a great cassette of my dad and Troy Seals writing "Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes," and they're sitting there swapping lines and like. They'll sing the wrong line, and you're going, no, that's not how it goes. You know, it's great. I love these old things.
Oh, wow. Were Vern's hits pretty faithful to how the songs were originally written, or did they sometimes change a lot?
That's a great question. I would say because my dad and Vern wrote those together, the ones they wrote together, I'd say they were pretty right on the money. And probably pretty much all that stuff, because there's not a lot of fancy, gizmos in there. It's just country music,
Give us a backstory on Love Me. I want to close with that this morning. Have been you and Skip Ewing, right?
Yeah, Skip Ewing. He's a brilliant guy, great songwriter talent. And I played guitar on the road with him in the 80s. And we were heading out to Utah on a long ride out there. And we were just bouncing in the back of that bus, and we said, hey, we're a couple songwriters. We should write a song. So we did. And we sat in the back of that bus and wrote this song, threw it in the pile, as one does. Never thought another thing about it. Years later, two years maybe, I'm on the road with Linda Davis. We're backstage. We're opening for Reba or Garth, somebody like that. The DJ said, Max T, we love that new song you got out there. I said, you probably talking about my dad. They said, no, Love Me, I've never heard of it. By Colin Ray, never heard of him. Right, so I get back, it's number 33 on the charts, went to number 1, 3 weeks at number 1, CMA Song of the Year nominee. Crazy life.
And what I loved about it was the comma. Love, comma, me.
Right.
When you looked at it in print. It's perfect.
Well, so you gotta have your commas right. When you yell, let's eat grandma, right? Let's eat grandma.
I heard it the first time. I pulled into the parking lot of the Dairy Queen in Post, Texas, on the way to Lubbock to a Red Raider football game on a Friday afternoon with my son, and this song came on the radio. It was the very first time I ever heard it, and just stopped me in my tracks. So that's my backstory.
Wow, that's incredible.
And my oldest son, Luke, riding shotgun on the way to watch those Red Raiders play football.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for coming to see us, man.
Bill Cody, thank you. You're a giant.
Always a pleasure. And Vern Fest 2024 is this Saturday, 8 to 11, Texas Troubadour Theater, across the street from our studio, really, over here in the neighborhood, Music Valley Drive. And that's Saturday, August 3rd, 8 o'clock.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
Got a little getaway planned, or just thinking about it? Want to look around at tntrailsandbyways.com. Their recommendation is get off the beaten path. Take the scenic route. 16 different trail names across the state of Tennessee with over 1,300 recommended stops. And as far west as you can go down toward Memphis would be the Walking Tall Trail. As far east, northeast, if you will, up around Bristol, that's called the Sunnyside Trail. But Charlie, you're taking us to Rocky Top.
Yeah, we're going east as well. And I'm in the mood to eat and drink. A couple of years ago, we talked about all I wanted to do was go to cemeteries and churches. So we're going to liven things up on our tour of the state this week. 135 stops on the Rocky Top Trail, and just amazing food and drink options. So let's go to Townsend first. Dancing Bear Lodge and Restaurant right off the Lamar Alexander Parkway. Is that not quintessential Tennessee? In Pigeon Forge, the Mountain Valley Vineyards. They opened in 1991, the largest vineyards in all of our state. And the Applewood Farmhouse Grill in Sevierville. This was built in 1921. It was a 6-room farmhouse that's now a restaurant. It's also a working apple orchard, features a general store, a cider mill, and it's just phenomenal. And those are just a few of the 135 stops on the Rocky Top Trail.
Including the Sam Houston Schoolhouse down Maryville Way. Again, tntrailsandbyways.com. Take the scenic route. who knows, you might wind up on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza and go, there's Coffee Country and Cody. They're live on the air in the Acuff House. Yes, we are. It's our new studio home, and we welcome you to take a tour. As a part of your Opry tour, you get to come see us, Opry.com, or the tour desk kiosk in the lobby there at the Opry House, which is just across the way, the entrance to the Opry House. There's the Opry shop for merchandise, ticket information, and all that right here. And there we are in the Acuff House.
I take a little walk every morning on the plaza, so I've walked over to the hotel a couple of times, and Bill Cody's voice is there telling me to follow all instructions, enter peacefully, make sure I have my ticket, make sure I have my ticket ready.
Enter the mine slowly.
Yes, your voice runs 24/7 out there. So,
hey, let's talk all things Opry in this opening segment here. August is today. And what a special month at the Opry. On Tuesday the 13th, we celebrate Luke Combs' 5th anniversary of Opry membership. The next night, on Wednesday the 14th, Post Malone is making his Opry debut at the invitation of Brad Paisley yesterday. We learned this right after we got off the air yesterday. Of course, you've been hearing his new duet with Blake Shelton is the current single that's doing so well. But Brad invited him. And so it's happening, the Opry debut of Post Malone on Wednesday, August 14th, with Lainey Wilson, whom we just saw and heard a little bit ago on the stage of the Opry doing Watermelon Moonshine. Vince Gill will be there, John Michael Montgomery, so I'm very excited to see him back at the Opry. And the War and Treaty will be there. And again, that is on the 14th. Carrie Underwood is going to be there on the 6th and 7th, 2-show nights, both nights. That is not Labor Day weekend. Labor Day actually falls on Monday. In September, Monday the 2nd this year. So it's that following weekend after Labor Day that Carrie is here.
Yep, and that Post Malone show is already completely sold out. Only resale tickets available. So, and you can choose. You can go see Post Malone buying a resale ticket, or, pay for your child's college. I'm not exaggerating.
And our Kelly Sutton, who's taking a couple of days off, is in New York. She'll be in Central Park with Carrie tomorrow and Good Morning America when she performs. Speaking of Carrie, she's teaming up with Papa Roach. This was some news we got yesterday after we learned about what Post Malone was doing at the Opry. A new version of the rock band's song Leave a Light On, Talk Away the Dark. The collaboration set to drop tomorrow. Comes out, that's generally the way things roll these days, is dropping new music on Fridays. It spotlights suicide prevention and mental health awareness. Carrie and Papa Roach donating their royalties from the single to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The country star says that she's honored to be invited to record the song with Papa Roach. The original was on Ego Trip, their album of 2022. Jelly Roll can add another honor to his resume. Earlier this week, he was sworn in, hear me through, as a deputy. I said, sworn in as a deputy. He's got a badge and everything. Community Cares Task Force, Flint, Michigan. The convict turned superstar cut the ribbon to open the Jelly Roll Music Studio at the Genesee County Jail. It's a jail with a studio in it. Jelly has previously worked with the Genesee County Sheriff's Office on a program that encourages inmates to get their GED. Yeah. That's kind of how this whole relationship started. And he'll kick off the Beautifully Broken tour tonight, actually, for Jelly Roll at We Fest, Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
This is a lot like the classic Andy Griffith Show episode where they needed more deputies, and Barney deputized Gomer and Otis. I think Jelly Roll actually may do a better job than those two did in that episode.
You think he has his badge like on the outside where you can see it, or he's got like a wallet badge where he flips it open?
Oh, no, yeah, that's what Elvis would do, because Elvis loves collecting badges. Yeah, so flip it open. There you go.
Also wanted to tell you that the first performers for the 2024 ACM Honors have been announced. The first wave includes Eric Church and Grand Ole Opry stars Keith Urban, Vince Gill, and Darius Rucker. The 17th edition of the ACM Honors takes place August 21st. Well, August got a lot going on. This is at the Ryman. Ashley McBride, Jamie Johnson, Tyler Hubbard, Emmylou Harris will also be on the show. Carly Pierce and Jordan Davis are going to co-host.
Hey, we host. We don't sing.
We don't host this.
We know, but I'm just saying,
Ruby Leigh, you got a 4-chair turn there on The Voice season 24. You had Reba when you started yodeling. Yeah, she didn't turn. John Legend turned first. When you started yodeling in Reba, she turned.
Yeah.
And that's an old Patsy Montana classic, I Want to Be a Cowboy Sweetheart. Susie Boggess does a great version of that, too.
That's right.
As a matter of fact. Welcome to Coffee Country and Cody.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I want to quote you from your from your website, Ruby Leigh Official. Don't let your fears be bigger than your dreams.
That's right.
Very philosophical for a 16-year-old.
Well, I'm actually 17 now.
You're dating me even more because you walked in and you started to pull out a picture. And I said, don't tell me. Studio A, Grand Ole Opry House for a music workshop that we're doing called Music for Kids.
Yep.
And you were how old?
I believe I was 10 years old there.
Then she showed me a picture of us when she was 10.
Yeah.
I was so glad I remembered.
Me too.
So I'm curious. I can't imagine too many things more stressful than being on national television with a studio around you, trying to sing a song and be comfortable doing it, and then hoping that at least one of these people turn around. And when the first one turns, is there like instant relief? Do you even pay attention to that? I'm just curious what goes through your mind in that instance.
You know, everyone that has talked to me about that, they're like, you know what? I went back and I watched your performance and you didn't look nervous at all, because I wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been performing since I was, 10 years old. I was
Sure.
doing 200 shows a year before The Voice.
Yeah.
And it was just something that I was used to. And going into it, me and my dad, everyone that gets four-chair turn obviously was like, I had no idea I was going to get a four-chair turn,
Right.
But I genuinely did not think I was going to, because going into it, I was like, listen, no one's going to turn for yodeling except for Reba. Okay, she's our only shot. Even my dad was like, yeah, you're right. Like, Reba's going to be the only one, so we just got to get her to turn. And, before I started yodeling, John Legend turns around, and I'm like, what? He wasn't even a part of this, And in my mind, I was like, Team Legend, there we go, But, honestly, it wasn't very stressful. I find it easier to sing to someone's face than to sing to the back of a chair. That's the weird part.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very relieving to have, I guess it just confirmed a few things for me.
Sure.
Because, that was just a great feeling.
Yeah.
So where are your parents related to where you're standing on stage while this is going on? Because we could see them obviously pulling for you and looking out. They can see the judges, obviously.
Yeah. My parents were behind me. So
Okay.
I'm on stage facing, the coaches, and then they're in the back behind me. So, and I didn't see them when I walked out. And when I went on stage, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? They're going to miss my moment here.
Oh, no.
And then I turned around when I was done, saw them bawling. So then I started getting a little bit of the sniffles. So I'm like, hi, everyone. Yeah. So, yeah, no, they were behind me.
You've known for a long, long time, even at a young age, that you wanted to do this. When do you have a conscious memory of thinking, I want to sing for a living?
Actually, it was the first day I started singing. When I was 9.5 years old, my dad used to race cars, and I went into his race car shop, and I had never heard classic country music before in my entire life. And I walked in there, and he was playing just great music. And back then, I had never heard it before. So I was like, Dad, what the heck are you listening to? My dad's like, no, don't come in here running down my music. This is real music. I was like, well, I'd never heard it before. And he said, my music tells a story. You have to listen to the story before you hear the beautiful music. So I was like, being 9 years old, I was like, okay, Dad. So I sit down, I start listening, and Ernest Tubb comes on, and it was Thanks a Lot. And I'm sitting there, and I heard it. I was like, I hear the story, Dad. And he was like, well, good. And then I started kind of humming along a little bit. And then Guy Clark came on with the Dublin Blues. And I was like, Dad, I really like this song. And my dad was like, that happens to be my favorite song. How about you learn that for me? Not thinking anything of it. And I was like, I think I might do that. So the next day I come back, and I memorized it within an hour. And my dad couldn't believe it. And then he posted it on Facebook, and we got a lot of comments from friends and family. They're like, wow, she's great. How long has she been singing? And my dad's like, about 15 minutes now, and I don't know, ever since I started doing that, I just totally took a deep dive into music. And I guess it was that second day of singing, I sat down at our kitchen table, and I looked at my dad, and I was like, Dad, I'm going to be a singer. And
well, Ernest Tubb and Guy Clark, that's a great place to start.
That's what I'm saying, I mean, I told my dad that. I don't think he believed it then, but I think he does now.
Well, we're going to feature, as you head to the Grand Ole Opry for your debut, and Charlie, you will be there to host her tomorrow night.
Going to be a really fun night, too. Riders in the Sky going to open the show the cowboy way, so it just seems fitting that you're on that gig, too.
Perfect,
So
Maybe we could have a duet, a yodel duet with Ranger Doug at some point tonight, tomorrow night. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
I think I need to get one of the cactus ties.
A cacti.
Oh, cacti.
A cacti.
A
I
cacti.
thought you said cacti. It was black tie. Okay.
Ruby Leigh is on Coffee, Country, and Cody, and we're going to feature the single, Love's Like a Rose. You want to set it up for us before we play it?
Yeah, so this song here I co-wrote with my buddy Christopher Mark Gray, and we recorded it here a few months ago, and so glad that it's out. It's kind of about the life cycle of a rose, you know, relating to love. So, you know, it's about these two people that meet each other and they love each other, and, you know, this rose starts to bloom, you know, and about halfway through the song, you know, they don't love each other anymore, and the rose slowly starts to fade, you know, and turn to gray, and by the end of the song, they find new people, and then, you know, a seed, and then the rose starts to bloom again. So it's all about the life cycle of a rose. So it's called Love's Like a Rose.
And it's from our special guest, again, debuting at the Grand Ole Opry tomorrow night. Ruby Leigh is on Coffee, Country, and Cody.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
She is the pride of Foley, Missouri. Population, you said 68 somewhere, I read.
Yeah, 68.
The census in 2020 said 89. I mean, that's been 4 years ago.
I mean, yeah, they haven't updated our sign in forever. Yeah.
Ruby Leigh. Pearson is the last name, the family last name. Mm-hmm. Tell me about being born on your grandmother's birthday and continuing the animal lover that she was through your charitable donations.
Yeah, so, you know, I never met any of my grandparents, but I was named after my grandma, and her name was Ruby, and I was actually born on her birthday, and, you know, I've heard from my dad that, you know, she was just a huge caring person, you know, that loved animals, and I love all animals as well. I mean, literally anything, and I will snatch it up. You know, and I just love being able to, you know, help animals that are in need, you know, and need, you know, a loving home. So, you know, I definitely think I get that from my grandma, even though I never met her, you know.
Tell me about your meet and greet.
Yeah, so I am actually doing a meet and greet today from 5 to 8 at Music City Coffees here on Music Valley Drive. And I'm super excited about it because that's always been the number one thing. Mickey Gilley, I sang with him when I was, you know, 11 years old, and he always told me, he said, you know, if it weren't for all of these people, you know, I wouldn't be anybody. And he would wait until the very last person came through, because I was 11 years old there, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, are you gonna wait for all these people in this line and talk to every single one of them? He was like, Ruby, I want you to look at all these people. He said, if they weren't here, I wouldn't be doing this. And I was like, it's a good point. So, you know, and so
and you're going to do it for 3 hours starting at 5 o'clock today.
That's right.
On Music Valley.
That's
Drive.
right.
So
Yeah.
is this the first time you've done this?
A meet and greet? No,
I mean, in Nashville.
In Nashville,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my
Okay.
first time doing it in Nashville. So, I mean, it's the best time, right?
Absolutely.
I bet you the cool thing is you probably get people who, you know, adults who followed you on The Voice and are excited to meet you, but you probably get a lot of little girls who are 7, 8, 9 years old and kind of want to follow their dream in your footsteps, huh?
I do.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to see. Is I've always said, you know, if I can inspire one person, that's, you know, I've done my job. Mm-hmm. And to see, you know, kids that are inspired to not do, you know, all the negative things that are, you know, in life, and
the temptations.
You know, all the temptations, you know, and pick up a guitar or a microphone or whatever it may be, a dancer, whatever you want to be. You know, if I can inspire someone to do something positive, I feel like I've already, you know, won. Yeah. So.
Well, you're debuting at the Grand Ole Opry tomorrow night for people just joining us. You also have a picture on some of your socials standing in front of the Grand Ole Opry House front doors.
Yep.
Was that taken some time ago, or is that rather recent?
Well, I have two pictures.
Okay.
I visited the Grand Ole Opry when I was 10 years old.
And that's when you and I met?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
And, you know, I had the invite to go inside and do the tour, but I said no because I wanted to wait for my turn. And I wanted it to be authentic. And, you know, when I got my invite, then I was like, we got to go back and recreate this picture. So I recreated it here just a few months ago, and oh my gosh, it's so cool.
What are you going to play and sing for us?
Well, I feel like I should probably do a yodeling song.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's what people know me for, right?
Yeah. And when did you start yodeling?
I started yodeling pretty early on.
Did you?
I was probably 10 years old when I started yodeling. And
who was your yodel inspiration? Was there a particular artist? Because, you know, famously Gene Shepard yodeled on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. Ranger Doug of Riders in the Sky, with whom you'll share the stage tomorrow night.
You know, I wish I could say it was one of those people, but it was a random person on YouTube that I saw doing it. You know, it wasn't like a celebrity or anything. And, I was like, I looked at my dad. I come from the most non-musical family you've ever seen. Trust me, they can't carry a tune in a bucket.
I am 15 feet away, and I still can't believe what I just saw and heard.
Thank you.
Ruby Leigh. Thank you. Is that like an old public domain piece, or is that an original song that you...
No, it's not an original. As much as I wish it was.
Yeah.
It's not.
Where does that come from? I don't know that. That was the first time I've heard that.
Man, I can't remember the guy's name. I found it on YouTube.
Because it reminds me kind of Texas Plains, that Riders in the Sky. Their theme, you know, that they open with. It's got that sort of feel to it. Same lyrical
there you go.
sense.
Now, the amazing thing of that is the breath control it takes to do that is amazing. The breath control it takes to do that in Middle Tennessee with everything in the air. I can barely breathe this morning. My allergies are so bad. I don't know. I mean, seriously. That's a skill, though, right? I mean, you got to build up. I don't want to say tolerance, endurance. I guess would be the best way to put it, right?
And she's sitting on top of that doing all that.
Yeah.
Oh,
so tell me about your outfit. Is this the outfit you're wearing to the Opry? I saw something about you were getting your clothes ready for your Grand Ole Opry debut tomorrow night. That's right.
This is not the outfit I'm wearing. You know, this one's specially for today.
Okay.
No, I have a suit being made because, you know, one thing about me is, you met me when I was 10 years old. It's been my biggest dream since I was 9 years old to play the Grand Ole Opry, because I know how prestigious it is, you know, and I wanted to make a suit to really commemorate it because, you know, I don't want to get up there in a pair of ripped jeans, you know, and a backwards hat, you know, because I know how much it means, you know, and it's always meant so much to me. And to see some of my absolute, you know, heroes get up there and play and to be able to even, I mean, wax the floor, let alone, but to get up there and actually perform, I mean, it just means so much to me. And I'm just so excited. So I got a suit made. You know, in remembrance of the show, and Justin Boots actually made me a custom pair of boots. They shut down their factory line to make me a pair of Grand Ole Opry boots. So
how special are you?
You know, I'm very blessed. You know, so I'm very, very excited.
Now, if you read the contract carefully, though, about 9:45 when the show is done, you do have to come back and wax the floor. Though that's part of that's part of the deal. But you know,
and I'll do it.
Yeah. Ruby Leigh, Grand Ole Opry debut tomorrow, and meet and greet later today, 5 o'clock. That's today, Thursday, first day of August, and 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Music City Coffees at 2400 Music Valley Drive is where she'll be.
And along with Ruby tomorrow, T. Graham Brown, Connie Smith, the Isaacs, Daly and Vincent, Gene Watson, and Sonny Sweeney. It's going to be a great Friday night at Music City.
And to think, when she was 9.5, her daddy had her quote this phrase from the pen of Guy Clark. Well, I wish I was in Austin in a chilly parlor bar, drinking Mad Dog margaritas and not caring where you are. You know the next one? Here I sit in Dublin.
Just rolling cigarettes.
Keep going.
Well, I have to sing it now. You can't make me think in the middle of it.
Holding back
and choking back. The shakes with every breath.
The shakes with every breath. That's a girl. 9.5 years old.
Yeah.
That's what got this whole journey started.
9 years old, you know.
Anybody got a light?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, I think every 9-year-old needs a song about prison and drinking.
Ruby, congratulations.
Thank you very much.